You're against you.
I'm not against
Shorty,
myself.
have
I'm not
you
against
up
myself.
against the
I
wall?
am here to introduce
That's insane.
the Split Screen Gaming Podcast, the occasionally weekly podcast where two lifelong friends plus Josh Osborne.
Oh no, Josh is a lifelong
Totally
friend.
fucking with you.
Aww.
Three lifelong friends correspond with video games from the comfort of their own home. I'm holding the party with special guest Josh Osborne and our regular
Chad Michael. Steve for a loop there. Where'd I go?
I was like holding my hand up,
Where'd
being
I
like,
go?
"And Chad, you
That's
can."
you. That's your cue.
Go for it, go.
Say your
Honey,
name.
we're so
Say
proud
your
of you.
own
Just say
name.
something.
Jesus Christ, will you fucking say the name? Hey everybody, welcome back. Tonight on Smooth Jazz, we're going to be talking about more jazz. Still just as smooth.
I think I'm on the wrong podcast. I don't know anything about jazz.
Josh
We
Osborne,
brought you on because you
jazz
said you
jazz
were a
superstar.
famous jazz musician related to Miles Davis.
Yes, we're nailing this one. Nailing the intro to this. I'm not even in the right folder of my notes. How do we start the show? What are we playing? That's what we start with the show with. What are we playing? Holden, because I think your answer is going to be very not similar, and by that I mean dissimilar
And what's the
to
question?
mine. Go for it. What are you playing this week?
This week, I actually have not been playing that much. This week, like threes on the occasional basis, but what?
Sorry, I just thought of something else funny.
Okay. And I have not been playing that much. I've been playing the Zelda DLC occasionally, but even that, I'm not that far in it.
Because it's not fun.
No, I haven't even made it to Kakariko Village. Hi.
I met you once, right?
You
Yes.
did met him.
Yes.
I thought so.
Who's
Chad's
that fourth
roommate
lifelong friend?
just walked in
That's
the room.
Jessica.
And now
Renee,
she's like, oh shit,
Neil.
they're recording? I had no idea. See, I haven't
say
been playing that
hi.
much video games. It's kind of a shame. I should have been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which I know you guys would be very upset that I have not put that much time into that game.
I've just given up on liking you. Yeah.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah. Is that all?
Yeah, that's all I've been
all
playing.
you've been doing?
Josh, have you been playing any video games? I'm going to
have.
guess
What have you been playing?
Overwatch, because you like Overwatch.
Overwatch, which introduced its new hero this week.
What
which I'm
about
super excited
under?
about.
What's the opposite of a watch? Under Fitbit.
No, I'm done thinking about that.
Good.
Introduced a new hero, Doomfist, which I'm super excited for.
Yeah.
Since they've been teasing him from the game's inception. I've gotten back into XCOM 2 this week.
I do want to play that.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I started it just because the expansion comes out next month, and I was like, I want to get through and do another campaign of like the standard like vanilla game before
What do you play?
the
What do you play on?
PS4.
PS4.
Oh, is that on PS4? Ooh.
I thought for some reason
Yeah.
in my head that was PC
Yeah,
exclusive.
same here. I'm actually really excited. I seriously might just go home and buy that tonight, because
Yeah,
I really
it was
wanted to
like-
play that game.
I'm
It's
really
like
excited
3
for the
months
XCOM
or something
expansion, Mario Rabbids
I was
Doom
just gonna,
Battle.
I was just gonna say that.
I'm not.
Yeah, Josh saw the Mario Rabbids game. I was like, that is weak sauce. That is
Really?
lame.
I think it looks really stupid.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so
That's
excited
fun.
for it.
That's just me. That's probably because I love XCOM so much, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you just ripped off XCOM and made it easier and for babies.
I'm just not a strategy guy. Like the strategy games I'm not
strategy
into.
games.
So
Yeah, I've been playing.
I like that this is a baby version.
I've been playing, not this week, just like in general, on my emulators, I'm playing Advanced Wars.
Oh, I've never played that, but I've heard very good things
It's
about it.
very, very good, yeah. And XCOM seems like it's a 3D version of that with aliens and with much more intricacies
Yes,
involved.
definitely. And XCOM 2, so like XCOM Enemy Unknown came out on PS3 and PC.
Yeah.
I love the shit out of that game. And XCOM 2, excuse me, it makes everything way more complex. Like there's more stuff to do or whatever. It's just one of those games that it's similar to like a Dark Souls or something like that. It's a game that constantly punishes you, but you love it for that. It's like you will level up a soldier so high, and you're like, "This is my go-to guy" or whatever. You'll go into a thing or whatever, and they die. And
Oh,
you're
so
like,
there's permadeath.
"No!" Yes.
Okay, interesting.
You
So I turned that
can-
off when I played Fire Emblem.
You
because that
can
was
turn
really
it off.
so
frustrating.
this is like
well,
Fire
not-
Emblem for adults.
Yeah, but
Fire Emblem is a tough game.
you can
It can
turn
be.
off. So the Iron Man mode is like the intended way to play, which is like it constantly saves over itself. So if you make a mistake, a soldier dies or whatever, they're gone. But you can, so like when I first play through, just to kind of get a sense of like the gameplay loop, I play it without that on, just so I can get to the end and see like, okay, so ideally I'm trying to make it to this thing or whatever, but then I go back and then after that is Iron Man mode only.
So if you have Iron Man mode turned off, it's not that there's no permadeath. It's that you can go back in time. Okay.
Yeah, so you
And
could
just say,
reload your save
shouldn't have
to
done
the
that.
beginning of that mission or just before the mission's dealt out to you or whatever. And the cool thing with XCOM 2 is they introduced... So in Enemy Unknown, all the maps were the same. So you kind of got used to the maps. You'd be like, okay, most likely enemies are going to be coming from over here, that kind of thing. In this one, all the maps are procedurally generated. So it makes it unpredictable. You drop in, you're like, shit, I don't know what kind of enemies I'm going to be encountering, and I don't know where they're going to come from, which is really cool. It's a great game. Love it. And part of the reason I started playing that again is I started playing Darkest Dungeon, which is another strategy RPG. So it's
I haven't heard of this game before.
Dungeon crawler.
Okay.
That's heavily inspired by like H.P. Lovecraft stuff.
Okay. Oh, I think you've talked about this. We've talked about this at work before. Yeah.
And so, the basic premise of like the story is this guy owns this rich estate or whatever, and he hears about his house is built on top of this like portal, and if he goes down to it or whatever, he'll unlock all of these like crazy things and all that jazz. So he like has people dig under his house to get to this portal, and all these creatures come out. So it's like, you know, sirens and like crazy tentacle monsters, pig monsters, like all this stuff.
So it's a strategy dungeon crawler, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you open up the game or whatever, and I think there's 4 dungeons initially you can choose from to go into. And the one unique thing about this, at least I've never seen this in another game, is as you go into the dungeons also level up. So like
I like that. Yeah. So you can go back somewhere else you've been before, but it's not like you're just kind of blowing through it really easily.
Exactly.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
So like at first it's like grunt enemies and stuff
Dark
like
Souls
that.
would do that.
And
That'd be great for Dark Souls if Dark
guess
Souls did that.
in a sense they kind of do with like when you do New Game Plus.
No, but
and
like
as you keep plussing it, they add more stuff.
But like if you beat the boss of an area, enemies get harder or something like that.
Oh yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it introduces like boss characters and stuff like that, and then there's like different tiers of difficulty that you can pick within a dungeon.
Yep.
And stuff.
That's good. What system's
really
that on?
fun.
PS4?
It's on PC. Well, not PC only, but I have it on my Mac.
Okay,
I've
gotcha.
I've just been playing it on my Mac every once in a
So
while.
non-console, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, or no. I just lied to you. It is on PS4.
You lied to me,
I
Josh?
did. I
think it's also on Vita. I think I remember playing it on Vita.
That's definitely like not PC only then.
Yes, I think it
Interesting,
is on Vita. Yeah, it is not PC
That's good to
only.
know.
I just lied to everyone.
That sounds
and
like a
I
good game to play
apologize.
on Vita, actually. I think
All
strategy...
right, everyone, that was it for Josh's. We're gonna kick him out now.
I've been trying to find good strategy games because I always enjoy them, but I feel like they're either far too difficult or like there's just way too many moving parts. Like Civilization, like I really want to get Civilization, but it's
so good.
There's so much to learn. Like my friend Jeremy, he was showing me Civilization. He just kept getting impatient because I'm like, oh, I have to move these guys. Like, just hit the next button, dude. I'm like, I know, but I want to know. So you just keep going. I'll tell you how it's going along. I'm like, I know, but I need to learn the system. He goes, no, you don't. It'll matter in the future. I'm like, no, let me learn the system right now. He get me super impatient. So I don't know, just like bottlenecks me from wanting to progress further in that because there's so much and it wasn't being explained to me very well.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Like
Jeremy.
a bad friend.
He's a good. His intentions were very good. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
He wanted me to see how awesome the end of the game of Civilization was.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, it's super fun. It's another one too that like punishes you. Like they have a system. It's like a stress meter that you see it build or whatever. And like as you go,
So not your own stress. The game has its own
yes, the
stress
game.
as well.
Your characters in the game also get stressed out. And then when their stress meter, if it gets full, so like there are enemies that solely like they cast spells or they'll like do something that causes your characters to get stressed out.
Yeah.
Or and once that bar gets filled, their resolve is tested, is what they call it. And that can either result in them acquiring some like super like positive perk for the rest of that dungeon that's like amazing, like awesome, like they buff all the characters or whatever. Or it's a super negative one and like they can commit suicide, they can start hurting your other characters in your party, and you can't just get rid of them. Like they're there. And so it's like a really tough deal. But as you keep doing stuff, all of the characters that you have acquire quirks, both negative and positive.
Yeah.
So like positive ones are like they deal more damage to these types of characters, or they acquire less stress in this particular dungeon, that kind of thing. Or negative ones are
How do they teach that to you, though? Because that's kind of where make or break it is, or make or break for a strategy game for me is, do they just kind of throw you in a scenario and just say, figure it out? Or is it like, hey, this one scenario, try this out because this is, like, they kind of set it up for you to try certain things?
Yeah, so, like, when you first start it up, you don't, like, start on the estate and and everything. You, like, start out, it's like, the first batch of heroes you get are on the road to the estate, and it's like, oh, like, we can't get to it because there are these things, and so that's like your quote-unquote first dungeon, and then it explains to you how all, like, the little systems work and all that jazz. But, like, some of the quirks that the characters can get are, like, they can be a kleptomaniac, and you acquire, like, you go up and you see loot, and they're like, oh my god, I want that. They open it up, they take the loot for themselves, and you can't use it on the rest of your party or whatever. Or, like, when you go back to the estate, there's, like, resources to build up, like, your blacksmith and your sanatorium and the little church and stuff like that. You can't use those items in there because that character stole them. Or, like, they get afraid of certain things or whatever. It's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun.
I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, each character, when you come back afterwards, like, you can have them recover in a different way. Like, one person can go to the brothel to recover, and one person can go to the church to recover. And, like, depending on what they do, it has different effects on them and their personality.
Yep. And then, like, some of their quirks, too, it'll be like, this character will only gamble. That's it.
Yeah.
And if that's locked out, they stay at that same stress level or whatever.
I really want there to be more, say, strategy games on, like, iPad or mobile devices.
Yeah.
I think those devices lend themselves very well to that style, but it's when it comes out, it's always some super watered down version.
Yeah,
Like, Civilization Revolution 2 came out on the iPad, and I'm like, oh, cool, like, this is kind of what I've been waiting for. I downloaded it, I'm like, this is lame. It's like the cartoon, it's like the cartoon version of a Civilization game. It lacks a lot of the intricacy, the depth's not there, which might be a good way to kind of get into the series, but I really want there to be, like, a full, like, strategy game designed for iPad, because I think touch is perfect for it. Even at XCOM, like, you know, sliding your soldiers around. Like, PC works well because you have the mouse and the keyboard, but I think with multi-touch and things like that, you can do some really interesting things.
That would be cool.
There was one strategy game that had, like, an interesting spin on the tower defense idea. It was called Anomaly. You guys probably played Anomaly before. No?
I don't think so. No.
So Anomaly is a tower defense game, but you are the people running through the field of the towers.
Oh, that's cool.
So you have to, like, figure out, okay, what troops can I put in here? They're going to help me get through this alien planet, and you're just going through their cities, basically.
Okay, so you, like, drop the units in, and then you become those units?
It's like, so think of a tower defense game, right? Normally you're putting towers down to stop this, like, wave of enemies coming through. In this game, you set up the wave that moves through.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's like not. Like
it's the inverse.
It's the opposite of a tower defense game.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying.
It's actually
tower
really fun.
offense.
Tower offense. Yeah, it's actually a really good explanation. It is a tower offense game. It's very, very fun. But again, it's kind of like, it looks gorgeous, even for like an iPad game. It looks really good. I thought, at least at the time. It's several years old now, but it still is like that watered down, like not quite there. Like,
do you know anything about? I just looked in the App Store, and there's XCOM Enemy Unknown available for $10.
Yeah, that's the
2K.
first.
Okay,
I don't know if it's any good.
XCOM.
I mean,
is it like
the
Resident
2K
Evil
version
4?
of BioShock was garbage.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Resident Evil 4 on mobile and how that was literally
That was on mobile.
Really?
So it was, absolutely was, but it was like, here's a little segment of the game that you can play through. It wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't like the full game.
It was not the full game in
Okay.
any way, shape, or form. It was definitely not the full
How
game.
weird.
Because I got very excited when I saw it. I'm like, I'm buying this. I bought it, and so let down.
That's so weird.
It was like 10
Resident
chapters.
Evil 4 Platinum Mobile Edition.
Yep, it's there. It's not very good.
How much does it cost?
It's
$5.
Yeah, $5 still. It was
Yeah.
like $10 when I bought it, and I regretted it then.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. I was pumped. I mean, when did it come out? You can see in the App Store. When did that game come out?
Was it around the time
October 10th, 2011.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that was
That's a
even
long-ass
after.
time.
6 years ago, yeah.
That was even after. I think it probably came out on GameCube.
Yeah, think about it. That was iPhone 4S.
Oh yeah,
my
I'm sure that was
God.
a trash game.
Yeah, just because of the processing power at that point was not. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You could probably run Resident Evil 4 on a mobile device. Control-wise wouldn't work, but like you could probably run that game now on a mobile device.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Like the full game.
Yeah.
Minus control input again. That wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually today, so my group of friends that I play Overwatch with, we've discovered one of our other friends has never, ever in his life has never played a Metal Gear Solid game before.
What?
Never, ever.
How have you never seen a Metal Gear Solid game before?
He knows stuff about it.
Oh my
but
gosh.
like he knows about like Solid Snake, and he knows like there's a character called Big Boss, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But he doesn't know like, you know, all the crazy intricacies of, you know, Sniper Wolf and Fortune and you know, all the crazy Revolver Ocelot stuff. And so I have had this hankering to replay through the series again. And today, the three of us that have played through every Metal Gear Solid game, today we started playing through Metal Gear Solid 5 again. God damn, I love that game.
That game is so
It's
good.
so fucking good. So good.
I have it. I played the first few missions, and I want to go back into it. That's all I'll say. I
Great,
don't want to
there's
say
an interrogation
anything
about
good
that
or
later.
bad. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The backlog. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, that game is amazing. That progress loop is phenomenal, and I want to kick the shit out of Konami for just
yeah.
I personally cannot wait for Metal Gear Solid Survive. Or Metal Gear Survive. It looks great. That's sarcasm. I don't.
For those of you who are only knowing Holden for the last 4 months, his sense of humor is not the greatest. It's also very hard to tell when he's straight up lying to you.
Which I
And he
consider
thinks
a joke.
it's a joke, and then you don't run with the
It's
punchline.
so much fun for me.
Yeah.
the only time I'll get that game, if I ever get that game, is if it's on sale for like $10 or something like that. The reason being is that Fox engine is
So gorgeous.
amazing what they can do with that engine, and the gameplay of 5 is absolutely
But this
phenomenal.
isn't supposed to be the gameplay of 5. It's supposed to be...
It's the same gameplay.
It is.
Oh, really?
Same
Yeah,
engine,
so
yeah.
same engine, same gameplay,
Oh, so
and
it's
everything.
going to be like an open
They've just
like
yes.
environment,
No.
like
there is an
tactical
aspect-
espionage.
Oh, that's right. There's a single
Yeah.
player.
So it's still like the tactical espionage, but there's zombies
Kind of.
involved.
Yeah. So
So you're trying to like avoid zombies. So they just like write bad AI in the game. They're like, fuck you, we'll just call them zombies.
So the last thing that I've heard about the game, it was like it wasn't even at, or maybe it was at E3. I don't remember. Anyway, so the way the loop works in this one is you like go out into the open world. It's the same Afghanistan map from 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the Africa map in that one too, or not. Hey, you know what would be cool is if they had the Zanzibar map that was intended to be made for 5 with the third area that never got made. Anyway.
You can totally tell when you get to the quote-unquote end of that game.
So mad about
what do you mean by
that.
quote unquote end of that game? I mean,
The game
does
just
it not
kinda
end?
ends.
It just
Yeah,
oh,
there's-
it's
You
kinda
can
like-
tell
there's
there's an
a
entire
whole
third
plot
act
thread.
with-
Yeah, there's
yeah.
a whole third act that was supposed to be done.
Oh, really?
That never was made because Konami is stupid. Because it was supposed to go to a whole new area, and it was going to lead into everything that goes into Metal Gear 1.
So it'd be kind of like saying like Breath of the Wild example, like go to Ganon's castle, then like you get like everything, and then there's no Ganon's castle
Yes.
you kind of go to.
No,
Like you talked
that's-
about it,
yeah.
like a lot kind of thing. Okay,
yes,
yeah.
and it's a huge like plot thing, and you
That's
get
hilarious.
like, and it gets you so excited for that because
That's
I was like,
hysterical.
oh my god, like I can't tell you who does the thing because it'll spoil so much about that game. But it's you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna go do this
Did
thing.
Damon Lindelof write this game?
No, it's Hideo Kojima actually.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's another moment
I
where
was
I'm
feeding
joking.
into
yeah.
your joke. See,
Everyone gets confused by me.
but yes, that game is it's so fucking good, and it's my favorite video game series of all time. Will always be my favorite video game series, I think.
I have very limited
Love it.
experience with Metal Gear Solid, but it's a franchise I've kind of always really wanted to get into. So I definitely want to talk about that in my like backlog. That might be one of my big backlog games.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, that's kind of hit me like, ooh, I should play that.
Yeah. Totes.
Yeah.
Totes. Let's talk about that in our interrogatives.
At the
Coming up
at
next. I'm just kidding. We have a lot of other shit to cover.
Oh yeah, so let's get into the news.
Wait,
Oh, wait,
guys.
Chad
I've been
hasn't
playing a lot of
told
stuff
us
this
what
week.
he-
Oh yeah, that's right.
When
Sorry,
he's playing-
this has
I've
been
done
like
so
a
much
very-
playing. This
Oh
is a
my
big
God.
week for me.
This is a big week in game for general
played-
then, because this is I think the longest we've spent on like an
I know, right?
opening. This is awesome. This is great. I had nothing to offer, so I thought this was gonna be like a really short like one. I played nothing. Oh, you guys played games this week?
Video game podcast. We didn't play anything this week, so
I played a mobile puzzle game.
threes. So I've been playing Tomb Raider for the last 2 weeks, and I finally beat that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very impressed with it.
Yeah, it's very
Josh,
good.
I know you like it a lot.
Yep.
It is so uncharted in some of its set pieces and the cinematic nature of it, but it does have like these little areas that are you could waste easy 5-10 hours in each area. And I got that in the very first area I went into like that. I was like, oh, I could very easily waste the rest of my game in this area and not actually get through the story. So after that first area, I'm like, I appreciate that these are here, but I'm just gonna
mainline
the entire primary storyline, and then maybe one day I'll come back to that. But I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
My one gripe with it is I already can't tell you what the game's about.
I can tell you what
That's
it's
very
about.
Uncharted then. It's like the opposite of Uncharted.
Yeah, well, like I know. Okay, so
I
she's
can
on.
tell you the plot
They're
details
looking
of
for
Uncharted
eternal
and
life,
Last
and
of
there's
Us
this bad
to a
lady.
T.
They're looking for eternal life. There's this bad lady, and there's this weird world that they end up in the end. But it's like I don't care about
Wait,
the
so
characters
is this the
at
plot
all.
of a video game in general?
So I will say, not defending the plot, because the plot is very... It's not bad. It's just decent. It's like your standard adventure game or adventure movie game thing. So the opening is Lara Croft is going through her dad's like research or whatever, and he killed himself over not being able to find the Fountain of Youth. Because he was like, I know it exists.
He
I
killed
know
himself over not being
Hold
able to
on,
find the
hold on.
Fountain of Youth. Like, keep looking, man.
Just give me a second. Okay, so because you find out more stuff down the line. I can't obviously spoil it, but you find out stuff that's there's something else going on. Anyway, so he gets humiliated by the whole like archaeological community. Once this revered doctor and everything ends up committing suicide.
Is he the villain from Up?
And yes, exactly. So Lara decides, okay, I'm gonna clear my father's name. I'm gonna go figure out what the hell is going on with this whole deal. And as she's doing this, she discovers that there's this group called Trinity that's like a super ultra religious group that's also looking for this Fountain of Youth. In order to like monetize it, in order to use it on their soldiers so they can spread their like religious, their super like Christian like thing throughout the whole world essentially. And you start out in Syria, right? It starts in Syria, and then you go to
Siberia.
That's right. Yes,
Syria to Siberia.
Yes. And it's just you fighting off these people to get to this thing. Eventually you meet the natives of the land, and they're like, oh, we're the safeguard protectors of this thing. We've been here forever. That kind of thing. So very like standard plot. Nothing really crazy happens. Even like the first little twist in the beginning where, what's her name? Anna? I think is her name.
I don't know. I mean,
Anna
like
and
honestly,
Constantine is
the
her brother.
characters. Yeah, Constantine. I remember that is a baddie.
Yeah. I think it's Anna is the one who has like lung cancer or something
That
like
sounds
that.
right. But there's just not a lot of character development.
Yes,
in it.
yeah, that's like, and the reason that it's somewhat of a letdown, I guess, similar to like Metal Gear Solid 5, although it's not the game itself problem in terms of Metal Gear Solid, is more on this Konami, but it's the first game. The Tomb Raider reboot, like so much character development, like a lot of really cool shit happens or whatever, and then this one, it's like there's not a lot more that pushes that further.
So I played the first one, and I'm kind of curious to hear how this differs from a gameplay perspective, because I didn't care for the gameplay that much. I felt like there was a lot, and maybe I just wasn't playing it right, which is totally possible, but I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on long-range combat. But when enemies came close to me, I felt like that was always the easier way to take them down.
You felt like that was easier?
Yes.
Oh.
This, like, if you can... there are points where I got to, like, with my bow, I could upgrade it to, like, I just zoom in and boom, it marked people, instant headshots. Like, they never got close to me at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the way they kind of want you to play the game. Because there is not... I mean, there's kind of a melee thing with your axe, but it's not really
Yeah,
a
where it's
thing.
like you dodge it.
Well, it's kind of like in Horizon
Yeah.
Zero Dawn, if we're going to go to that for a second. Like,
Yeah.
it's all long range, like bow, but you kind of have one move in case
Right, yeah.
you get close. But I kept doing that one move over and over again. I'm like, this is super lame.
Yeah.
Like, so I just obviously wasn't playing it right. And
Yeah.
I don't know. So how does this differ from that? Because like, are the
It doesn't really. Gameplay is
Okay.
still very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the same trope of shoot the rope at the rope things, pull that down.
Okay.
You can your bow. You're very reliant upon it. There are a lot of guns you can unlock by like doing side quests and things like that. But I felt like they were all so either they didn't differ enough to matter that I didn't want to go after them, or I didn't use the guns at all because I unlocked early enough the instant kill, instant headshots with my bow that's literally all I used. So that kind of stuff is there if you want it, but I felt like they were all just too similar to matter. But yeah, it's very similar gameplay to the first one.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot more. There's just a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the skill tree is a lot like super expanded.
Yeah.
Like the crafting system is expanded.
So-
there's like a cool thing too where there's like bottles and stuff in the environment and you grab it and you make a Molotov cocktail and you can throw that kind of
Okay.
thing.
The things that I think are highly upgraded are the tombs in this
Yes,
one.
100%.
The tombs, there are
there are-
9
there
big
are
ones,
tombs?
and there are some
Yes.
genuinely tricky. Like I spent like a good 5 minutes like, what the fuck do I do
Yeah.
here?
There were a couple times where I felt really dumb.
Yeah, it was like there are some really clever puzzles.
Yeah,
in
As
these
opposed to the
tombs.
first game where there really weren't.
Yeah, and the
tombs.
tombs were like a tiny baby room, and that's it. And this is 9 kind of pretty big areas.
It's more dungeons than Zelda.
It does. Any amount of dungeons is more dungeons than Zelda.
So basically what I'm getting is, if you liked the first one, it's more of that, and you're going to
Yes.
continue to like it. But if
Yeah.
you didn't like the original one, there's really not a reason to go see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I think what I want, based on... Did you see the little stinger at the end? The, like, post-credit scene?
Yes.
Okay.
Spoilers.
I'm not spoiling anything. What I want it to... The next one to be, because clearly they're making a new one.
Yeah.
I want it to be a globe-trotting adventure.
Yeah.
Similar to, like, an Uncharted 4, where it's like, you know, you're in Madagascar, and then you're in another place, you know? Or if it's not, like, that kind of more linear experience, if it's, like... There are these several different countries or whatever, and you're going back and forth between them, kind of thing. Or whatever. That's what I want. But they could, of course, do something different that I would probably also love.
Yeah. You brought up Uncharted 4, which I think is obviously the parallel to this
Yes,
game.
100%.
They borrow so much from each other. If I wanted anything, of course, yeah, I'd love more diverse locations, but I again would just want more character development. Like,
Yes.
there are so many times where a character in this one you'd get, oh no, this person is dead, and like, oh, was I supposed to care for that person? Did they have a relationship? I don't remember it all from the first one. So I would love it. Versus Uncharted 4, where like I literally could watch Nate and Elena sit on a couch, and you do, and you just watch them drink a
Literally,
beer
there's a moment
and
where
play a
you
video
literally
game.
play video games with them.
Yeah, and I was like, I could do this for 100 years. And
Yes,
be totally into these two characters.
100%.
I still won't forget. Because I played the first 2 Uncharted games, and I skipped the third one because I wasn't really that into the that was, and it's
I know,
only
right?
because I
I know.
played them so late.
Marlo
Like,
is one of
I-
my favorite villains. from
Marlo is
Uncharted.
pretty great.
the
Yeah,
stories,
awesome.
the stories were cool and fun, but it was just like that gameplay was so to the time, and so
okay.
many years afterwards, especially when you kind of see what Uncharted 4 can do, and you're playing Uncharted 2 going, yeah, this is, I may get it,
Yeah,
but like,
playing
I really just wanted to play Uncharted 4.
Yeah, as somebody who, like, I
So-
played through 4 and
Yeah.
then went back to the original trilogy, I was like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's a big step back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My-
especially Uncharted 1.
My point is that, like, I didn't really have a big care for those characters at that point, because I was just kind of just trying to blow through those games to
Yeah.
get to the fourth one. But in the fourth one, I remember when Elena, like, almost dies, and you think
Yes.
she's dead, and I literally went, oh my god, Elena! Like, I just shouted it out, like, and I'm like, wait a second, I cared about that character? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
I almost, like, started crying at that moment, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought she was dead.
Oh, there were a
Absolutely,
couple
yeah.
times in that
I was
game that I
like,
cried. I'm a baby, so what?
Oh,
Yeah.
at the end, I started
Yeah.
bawling my eyes out when
That was...
the ship's falling apart and everything. I was like, oh my god.
It's funny, the 2 best stories in the video game are, number 1, Last of Us, number
Yes.
2, Uncharted 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah,
Naughty Dog,
I
Naughty
would
Dog.
put
Yeah.
Metal Gear up there as well, probably as number 3.
Yeah.
Man, it's so good. Video games
Yeah.
are great, you guys.
Something else, I started and beat Wolfenstein New Order,
Which is also
within like 36 hours of starting it.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
is crazy for me. I
Yeah.
had 2 days off in a
It's
row.
a relatively short game.
Yeah.
How long
was
was it?
It was maybe like 10, 12 hours.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at
Uh,
all.
That's like pretty average. to the
Which
length.
which timeline did you do?
I did Wyatt timeline.
Okay.
I didn't realize that it would have any effect. Like, obviously, I knew that character would be in the rest of the game.
There's different like NPCs that
I
you
didn't
encounter,
realize
like
that.
in your group and stuff. Based
Different
on which...
skills that you get as well, like lock picking versus keypad hacking, and I didn't realize that until like almost at the end of the game. I was like, oh,
which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Now it makes me think, in Wolfenstein 2, do they pick a timeline? Does yours carry over?
I think they said they chose one, didn't they?
I don't know. I've heard differing things on this. I've heard that you can import your like deal or whatever, and it just continues with the timeline that you've had. I've heard that when you start it up, you just pick a timeline. Like you can do the
like the Mass Effect 2 kind of comic intro for PlayStation,
or
like
Wyatt's
make all those
timeline. And I've also heard they just picked one, and so. But
I think
the
they just
thing
picked
is,
the Wyatt timeline. I don't know why that's in my head.
See, the thing is in the trailer they show stuff from both timelines though.
Oh, okay.
They show Wyatt is at the end, like tripping on LSD, and they show what the hell is his name? I'm forgetting it now. Finn. Finnegan?
It was something weird.
Like that. It's very
and he was
Irish,
dead the whole game to me, so
British.
I didn't know.
I can't remember. Or Flan.
Real nice Chad.
Anyway,
he's a human being.
And there was points where they showed him being in it.
Okay.
So there has
They
to
could
be
have been flashbacks.
some...
They could have been flashbacks, Josh.
but
I'm right.
they were
You're
in
wrong.
the
I'm smart. You're dumb. I'm big. You're little. There's nothing you can do about it.
Why did I come here?
Who gets the reference, by the way? You
Yes,
the
it was
reference?
Matilda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Duh.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I don't know.
You're
these
not
things.
funny.
You're not clever. You're not funny. But yeah, I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that game a lot. And everyone says, like, oh, man, until you get to the title screen, it's going to be a real drag, and then the rest of the game's awesome. Like, I enjoyed all of it.
Yeah.
Even the beginning in Castle Wolfenstein, like...
I played the opening Castle Wolfenstein part, and I remember kind of thinking, okay, this is fun, but it's a first-person shooter. But then the story, this is what really sells it afterwards. So I need to get... I'm past that now, so I can just start into the good part.
Yeah, it has a very, like... It does not feel like a war game. Like, it has a very, like, almost heist-type feel to it. Like, the music, like, it has this music, and then it's showing, like, split-screen cuts of people doing things and stuff. It has...
There's a really good character to it.
Yeah.
Like, the game itself has a character.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember watching the Wolfenstein 2 trailer being, is this the same game that I played? Because it just seemed so much more story-focused and kind of overtly weird than the first 2 hours of that game would make you believe. The first hours of the first game.
Yeah, once you get to the, like, resistance hub kind of thing, that's where the game really takes off. I was like you, Chad. I enjoyed the first little bit, but once you get into that underground like lair and you meet is it Caroline and Max and what's the ex-Nazis Kraus?
Max. Oh,
his
Kraus?
caretaker.
I think his name's Kraus.
I think it's Kraus. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
like
Max
and all
Haas.
those guys. Like, man, they are so cool and so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think the villain for the second one is, I can't remember her name, but the one that she gets all disfigured and everything.
Yeah. This
I
game
hope
is
she
gruesome at points. There were times when I was like, oh god, I feel queasy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
surprising
really
with
good
video
game.
games, because video games have always been about kind of showing you really disturbing fucked up
Like,
things.
yeah. In this one, the violence is very different, especially when you experience it up close like that. Like when that happens to her when that machine grabs her, I was like, oh my god, I've not seen that before. That's different.
And then she
I
pops
feel
up in
weird.
front of the camera with all of her disfigurement on her face, and you're like, oh god, oh look away, oh look away.
Man, so good.
Oh, I want to play this now.
It's a really good game.
Yeah,
it has
it's really fun.
good writing,
good
characters. I really enjoy everyone who is in it, and I'm looking forward to the second one and like returning to all these guys. And I love that it looks like in the second one they kind of took that quirk and that character and just pumped it all the way up to 11.
Yes.
So I'm very excited about that coming out. What is that?
October 27th.
God, the big month where
that's right.
everything's
October
coming
27th,
out.
where Mario, Assassin's Creed, and Wolfenstein all on the same day.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh my god.
So I played that. It was really exciting. Liked it a lot.
I played Threes.
You played Threes. We also just played PlayLink.
Yes, we did.
Wait, that's the name of the service. What's the name of the game?
That's
You.
That's you, yeah.
So this is one of the games that they announced at the pre-show to PlayStation's E3 conference, and it's one of those new like social ones that you play with your phone. And that was surprisingly, I enjoyed it.
It was fun, but And when it finished, I kind of thought to myself, I don't know how often I would actually play
Oh no,
it.
I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a game where you're all on your smartphones and they're like asking you which one of the three of you would be most likely to rob a bank, or which one would stick their tongue out at a security camera.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of baby questions
Yeah.
a little bit. If there's a company out there, or if Cards Against Humanity made
I was just
a
gonna,
version
yeah,
of like
that'd be
this could be a huge hit.
That
Absolutely.
You could get
I did-
Jackbox Party
there needs
Pack
to be
and
like a
just-
super.
Yeah, Jackbox Party Pack. You just go to the website and
Well,
you do kind of the same thing.
A lot of these games are designed for families. They need to make one that is designed for 20-somethings who don't mind
yes.
really offensive, politically incorrect humor.
Yeah.
It needs. There needs to be something like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Definitely. As you said, Cards Against Humanity.
Like
Yeah.
to the point where it'd be like, oh, this person's here, maybe we shouldn't play it.
Yeah.
Like I want it to be that like uncomfortable to be.
I do
weird.
like how it used all of the features of your device. Like we took a picture of somebody and then drew all over it.
Okay,
and-
my favorite one, honestly, this sounds stupid, was the mimicking the face.
oh, they give you a face and
Oh,
everyone
yeah,
has
I
to try to
kind of
make
like
that face.
that. I don't know why. That was really fun.
So I'm excited. I feel like this was kind of a tech demo of, hey, this is some stuff you could do with your phones. Developers, make something cool out of it.
Yeah.
I still like the Jack. Is it Jackbox?
Jackbox
I was about to call it Jack in the Box. I'm like that's not
Yeah.
right.
Jack
yeah.
in the Box, ciabatta bun.
Yeah, I like it when we have a fast food restaurant in our PlayStation. It's really fun.
Yeah.
No, the Jackbox games I think are really fun. I prefer those, I would say, just
Yeah.
because they're a little bit more. I'm not saying the term fun is not right, but like there's one called Fibbage where there's a trivia question, and rather than providing the correct answer, everyone comes up with a bullshit answer. And that's among the options of the correct answer. And you have to trick people into choosing your answer.
Yeah.
And like that kind of stuff is really fun. I liked that a lot. And I kind of want that's like that to me that's a high bar to pass. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've already had a lot of fun with those. And something that I would also play over and over again because
Sure.
it can be really funny to see what options people come up with. Whereas
Yeah.
this I feel like, oh, next time I play it, let's see who else decides going to rob a bank.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
and like, at least in this one, as opposed to Jackbox Party Pack, like this one, it seems a lot easier to just be like, oh, I'll just pick myself every time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, who would? What was it? One of them was oh shit. There was one that was like everyone's gonna pick themselves on this one. I can't remember which one it was. Because it was like something flattering. Like who would? Oh, it was like who would have the right answer to this or whatever. And I'm like,
Oh, right.
no
yeah.
one's gonna be like, well, I'm an idiot, so I'm not gonna pick me.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one that was though.
Yeah.
So this is dead air now. so
Was it
something
was it like if somebody did like a quiz or something like that?
Oh yeah, teacher gives you a pop test or something like that, and who does the best on it? Or
Yeah,
something like
Oh,
that.
who's
And I'm
likely
like,
to ace a quiz?
yeah, who's gonna ace the quiz? And I'm like, everyone's gonna pick themselves.
Yeah.
I remember. I think we all picked Josh actually.
Oh, did we?
No, I
think-
picked me because I'm smart as fuck. Awesome, guys. We're getting kind of long. This is almost 40 minutes just on what we're playing.
Yeah.
Holy
Let's
shit.
jump into the news.
They're usually like past news at this point.
Your past news, your old news. Hi, I'm Holden DePardo, and I'm irrelevant.
Whoa.
Sorry, that just escalated, and my mind went with it.
This is just the podcast where we just taunt and make fun of Holden.
It's true.
That's
It's
what it
true.
is.
Everyone right now is screaming into their phones. Oh yeah, Holden, you are stupid.
Because all you know
Or
is
they're
people
like,
calling
leave
you
him
stupid."
alone.
Leave him alone.
Leave
Holden
Brittany alone.
He's doing too much.
So, let's talk about some news.
Okay.
I
I'm
want
trying
to
to
start
trim
off with
my
what I
news.
think is the biggest story for me because I'm a big Nintendo fan.
Oh shit.
Oh, is that oh shit? Holden's gonna talk about Nintendo.
No, it's oh shit. I have like 15 news stories, and I gotta cut some out.
Yeah, I have a lot of news stories too. Do you want to just keep it like to kind of light on news?
Yeah.
then?
What's your goddamn?
So I think the Nintendo had a direct showing off Splatoon 2. That to the side, they showed off their Switch app for the iPhone, which will let you do party chats with friends, start online matches with Splatoon.
Rather than having it on their console.
Yes. I am a big fan of this, however. I think it's a very smart move, but I feel like everyone else will disagree with me on this. So I'm excited to see this. I think it's clever.
I think both parties or both sides, people who are like, "Why is it on a smartphone?" Blah blah blah, just integrate in the system, and then the other people who are like, "Well, you always have your smartphone with you, and it's good for all." They both have valid arguments, and it is something that you always have with you nowadays. Your phone is always in your pocket, no matter what. It is really good for like child like parental
I
controls and things like
think
that too.
I think it's probably the big reason for Nintendo they did it.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, if you're giving your kid a smartphone, you're comfortable with them having the potential to communicate with people online.
Yeah.
And it's a really
But then
good way
again,
to determine that.
most people give their kids a smartphone at like 7.
Yeah.
but they're then comfortable then. Like, if they weren't comfortable with their kids talking with people, they wouldn't have given them a smartphone.
Well, still, like, you're buying your kid... Well, I guess it's slightly different because Nintendo is geared more towards the family side.
Yeah.
But in general, I think people have that stigma of, like, if you play games online, it's going to be like, oh, fuck your mom, you're a fucking bitch, I hate you, like, go die.
It seems like the party
you know?
chats are to your friends only. So you have to be
Really?
friends in order to have a party chat with them. So I don't know how much of that you're going to be getting.
Okay.
But for me, I think it's really smart because if this were the Wii U and they were doing doing voice chat, yeah, on the console, because this is a home console, you're not taking it anywhere else.
Yeah.
But if I'm in bed playing Splatoon 2 with my friends, I don't want the battery to be drained by a voice chat as well, so I'd rather just put that on my phone.
That's interesting. Yeah, to kind of offload that.
Yeah.
You kind of offload the battery consumption to another device.
Actually, yeah, that makes sense. Now that you're saying that, I'm starting to come over to your side a little bit more, because if you're on the go as well... Oh, well, I guess you wouldn't be able to connect to the internet.
So I thought about this
Yeah.
as well, actually. I can't remember where I was reading this, but the amount of data that gets used with like playing Call of Duty or Overwatch online is actually not that much. It's about as much as like a Skype call or something like that. So I actually think it would be kind of feasible to run your phone as a hotspot, play a multiplayer game online, and do voice chat simultaneously. You would kill the battery of your phone. So like,
Right.
I probably wouldn't do it myself.
Right.
But I think that's actually feasible. So it kind of opens the switch to doing what it can do anywhere, whereas that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm
Interesting.
fully on board with this.
Full on rapist.
Full on rapist.
I think
Tobias Fuke, full on analypist.
Yeah.
full. There you go.
Yeah.
I think one last thing worth mentioning. You know, it's very good for children and being protective and things like that.
And you are a child.
Which
so
is
you
why I
don't
think
get
it's
judged.
really weird that Nintendo with this is launching their own porn website called Splatnet 2.
Yes. The sequel to Splatnet 1.
yes, yes.
Splatnet.xxx.
Just all the splat
Come
you could
Shop
ever
Central,
want.
the sequel. No, that's their hub for Splatoon within the Switch Online app.
That's
It's
funny.
called Splatnet 2. And that's where you can also access SplashNet, which is not going to get confusing, which is for shopping or buying gear.
That is already very
Wait,
confusing.
what's the purpose of Splatnet?
Splatnet is the
Like
place
where
where you
you
can view gear, invites, and stats, including the results from the last 50 battles.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just thought that was a funny name, and it sounds like a porn website.
Well, that's another case where I'm like, that should just be in the game.
Like
Like, I should be able to, while I'm in Splatoon 2, just be able to pull up my thing. Like,
I think you still can. I think you still can.
Yeah,
I think it's like the Destiny app.
Okay,
where-
okay. So it's just like a companion.
Yeah, it's a
okay.
companion, yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was like, oh, well, you can only access it through this, and I would smack someone. That makes more sense.
So, I think the other thing you mentioned about Splatoon, just before we run
Yeah.
something else, is just that there's going to be the beta on Friday.
Well, that's right, on the 15th.
Yep, and it's going to be 4 hours.
That's so silly.
The reason that they do it, I think, is that they want to make sure they can stress test the network as much as possible. So getting everyone into a 4-hour window is going to help with that. I think that's their reasoning, at least. I'm not working that day, so I'm off. So
There you
it doesn't bother me at all.
Nice.
It'll be at like 3 to 7 Pacific time. So is that like 5 to 9 here in Chicago town?
That sounds right. How does time work? Google it.
Google it.
Yeah.
This is a cool feature that's coming to Xbox One. You are getting the option to gift digital games.
That's
Oh,
a good
that's
option. Is
right.
that even available on PS4?
No, it's not.
Yeah, okay,
and it's
that's what
something
I
that I mean, it's available. You can do it on iOS, and I've done it quite a few times. But I love that because there have been times when, like, I wanted to get a friend a game for his birthday, and he lives in Boston. I'm not going to ship him a game, and so in order to get him a download code for The Last of Us, because he never played The Last of Us, I went to eBay, bought a download code. They emailed me the code. I took a picture of it, sent it to him, and then he redeemed it on his PS4. I was like, this would be so much easier if I could just be like, boop, send a friend. And
Yeah.
then he
Yeah.
just gets it in his download queue.
Well, to go back to threes for a second, I'm like, my mom would love threes. I'm just going to gift this to her.
Yeah.
And I just sent it because I'm like, I know she'd like it.
Yeah. And I do that with apps all the time. Like, oh man, my roommate would really benefit from this, but there's no way she's going to spend $3 on it. I'll just get her this fucking app.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really cool. It's coming to Xbox. I hope PlayStation.
They do good stuff. They
Nintendo
really do.
will also probably pick it up in about 300 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But only through the Nintendo Switch Online app.
Yes, through Splatnet too.
Jesus.
Hey, I have one more.
You have one more?
Actually, I have several more.
I have several more as well. But
Okay, but I've got another one.
there's not a lot of really important stories this week, though. So if we
No,
skipped
there's
a
not.
bunch, I wouldn't be that upset. I'm actually not going to talk about Zelda in the news because I don't think it's worth talking about.
I'm going to talk about Zelda right now.
Oh, okay.
Horizon Zero Dawn gets a big new update today.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that.
That was
This
good. You got me
includes
there.
New Game Plus, an ultra hard difficulty.
For free.
For free.
That's exactly right. This is Zelda's DLC for free in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
All the things you have to pay for.
To be
in
fair,
Zelda.
half of Zelda's DLC, but yeah.
You're right. This
But,
does not
yeah.
include Majora's Mask.
A difficulty level is not hidden behind a pay gate.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a
Which
little
is
bit.
nice.
There's a
You
little
also
bit
get
more
new
to
masks,
it, but not enough
you
to
get
be behind
new
a
like
pay
face paints,
Face
you get all
paints,
sorts of new
yeah.
outfits and things like that in the Horizon Zero Dawn.
And new trophies.
And new trophies, yeah.
To be fair, although I do agree with you, Master Mode in Zelda should not have been for pay. It should have been included in the game.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit more than just upping the difficulty. There's like new enemy placement. There are new like floating platforms in the world that actually offer a lot of interesting dynamics and how they interact. But it should be Horizon got it right. They nailed it. That's smart. Not that I never played ultra hard difficulty because I still need to play on normal difficulty first.
Yeah. Also, semi-related to that, if you're a PlayStation Plus member, the DLC is discounted.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh, really?
$5 off
yeah,
or something
the-
like that.
When does that come
Frozen-
out? Frozen Wilds, right?
Yeah.
Comes out.
It's November, I think.
That sounds right. It's definitely before the end of
They
the
didn't
year.
really show that much of it. What is it really? It's a new
Don't
story.
really
I
know.
know that.
Yeah. All I know is what they showed us in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
trailer. Looks like probably a new zone.
It looks like that giant thing in the mountain that you never really get to interact with.
I
might
want.
be part of
That's what
this.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be nuts if it was.
Yeah, I would cry my eyes
Are you
off.
hiding a spoiler from me?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Kind
Okay.
of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I am-
yeah.
I am going to play this. Like, I really am. Like, I know I've put it off, but I am going to play it. I
That's-
really enjoyed the story.
That's the day that I'll like you again. And until
Have you
then,
climbed?
you're a piece of
Have you
shit.
climbed a really tall tower and witnessed a certain thing happening?
That's really vague, so I'm going to say no.
Okay, so he hasn't even gotten into the really crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, PlayStation, I'm going to move on to your story now. PlayStation, I thought, did something interesting this week.
Tell me.
They are putting, through PS Now, PS4 games to stream, which means on a PC or Mac, you could
Oh.
technically... Or is it just PC on a Mac?
I think you can do it on a Mac too. Yeah, because
think
they
that's
started
right,
doing
yeah.
that. It was like within
Yeah.
the last year or two.
Yeah.
But you
I
can
think.
you can stream now a PS4 game to play.
Yeah.
There's this limited list.
It's 10 games.
It's 10 games.
But
and
there's some pretty good ones. I mean, the Killzone Shadowfall.
that's the only one where I was like, I guess a lot of these to me are either old games, like you have like Grim Fandango, you have God of War.
Or
Even though God of War
remasters.
Remastered is still a technical, powerhouse in terms
Yeah.
of what it's
Yeah.
doing, it's still not. There's no current games. There's no game that's really come out in the past
Right.
few years that is of a high standard or like a high polish or
Right.
high production value is the better term.
I mean, obviously they're going to keep adding to this list as
Yeah.
they do with the rest of PlayStation Now, but
I think they're trying to be careful because I don't think they want these things to play well.
yeah.
So, but having things like Killzone, but also having things like Evolve. Evolve is an online multiplayer first-person shooter.
That's interesting.
So that's one I kind of be curious to see how that plays. But then you also have games like Tropico 5, which is a strategy game.
You're right.
So like that will probably play very, very well.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious how this works out because this could be an interesting change
Yeah.
for how these games get released.
Yeah.
Depending on how well this goes. Xbox Pass, I think, still has it better though.
Yeah.
I just have a couple of like release things that I'm just going to fire off.
Yeah.
Not necessarily release, but just quick, just worth mentioning. Super Mario Odyssey won't have game over screens. You
Yeah,
just
I-
lose coins, and apparently coins matter more in this
And
one.
even when you get to no coins, I don't think you have a game over screen after.
I've
that
heard
either.
it's similar to like a Sonic thing, where like the rings in Sonic,
Yeah.
where it like is representative of your
So
health.
I've watched a lot of.
sense.
I've watched a
This is
lot of
what I've
gameplay,
heard.
guys. So what happens is if you are platforming and you fall off, you lose 10 coins.
Okay.
If you get hit by an enemy, just like in Mario 64, you have like three little little like health like meters, and you can get an extra set of it, so you have 6 health, but you just lose 1 health, and when that goes down all the way, then you lose 10 coins.
Yeah.
So you're just going to lose 10 coins and kind of start back where you left again. I think what happens is that if you lose all your coins, you just kind of go back to the beginning of that area, and you don't start off where you left off.
Okay.
Yeah. And apparently coins are more important. Like, it used to be just the only reason coins were there is you either collect all of them in the level for a star, or you get 100 and it gets you extra life.
Yeah, but you can buy things with it.
Yeah, they're more important.
It's your health and all that. Yeah.
Cuphead is also 100% Microsoft exclusive.
I have that one as well, yeah.
Anywhere
I'm
else.
bummed about that. They did say, though, that sequels could come, but Cuphead 1 will always be Microsoft exclusive.
I also heard that, I guess it's like 2 guys that make it, right? They had to like remortgage both of their houses, and like took all this financial risk like to make this game. So for them,
I hope Microsoft
it
is
does
paying them well.
amazingly well, because they've sacrificed a lot to make that game.
Because God knows Microsoft needs the exclusives, and it does look really good.
It looks absolutely fantastic.
It does.
One other thing I want to point out, and then we'll wrap up my part of the news so you can read anything else, is Shadow of War. Middle-earth Shadow of War lets you import your strongest nemesis from Shadow of Mordor, which I think is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So if you played on one of the systems that did have a nemesis system, so PS4, Xbox One, or PC, then your strongest nemesis you can bring over into the new game with all the same scars and stuff like that of where you had burned them and shit like that from the previous game. So that's pretty cool.
And your strongest like allied one, right?
Yeah. So your strongest nemesis and strongest follower carry over to the new game.
It's kind of cool. I personally, I'm like, I want a fresh start, but that's cool if there's ones that people are attached to.
Yeah. You have anything else holding? That's it for my news.
I got one, or I guess I have 2 kind of quick stories. 2. But I'm kind of putting them together because I think they're kind of related almost.
Okay.
Leighton's Mystery Journey of the Catriel and Millionaire's Conspiracy has a release date of July 20th, and it's going to cost on mobile $16, which is a lot for a mobile game. But it's also coming to 3DS later in the year, and it's going to be like $40 there. So it is discounted significantly.
Is it the same game on both?
It's the same game, yeah. So I thought that was interesting, and the reason I'm bringing that one up is in contrast to that, Super Mario Run surpassed 150 million downloads. Nintendo's goal was to have 10% of those people purchase the $10 pack, which apparently they did not meet. So I think it's just kind of an interesting comparison of where's this pricing going to look like for mobile games when these really big publishers do start getting involved. Like, are they just going to release the next Mario game on mobile and it's going to be just $15, so you have to pay $15 to get it, kind of thing? Or are they going to go free? But I don't think these $16 mobile games do very well.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the way to go. But it's not.
Square Enix has been trying that since the beginning of the App Store.
That's true.
To be fair though, I did buy Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 4 at like $15 each.
Yeah.
Because I do love those
games. Did you
games.
buy any of their originals, like Chaos Rings?
The first one I
like
did,
that?
and I played a good chunk of it and never felt the need to get the other ones. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was that both stories wrapped
That's
up
both
there?
stories wrapped up there.
Because they related very well then.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. That's the end of our news, and let's get to the topic of this show. You guys, why do video game movies suck?
Okay, there's
Josh, like I've been thinking about this.
No, there is this like theory among a lot of people, and it very much sounds like a kind of conspiracy theory.
Well, I'm excited for this. I love
in a sense.
theories.
So because video games a lot more now, especially, and like for the past probably like 10 years or whatever, have started to rival movies extremely in terms of revenue, in terms of popularity. It's like, oh, well, why would I go see this shitty ass movie when I can play a really cool game, or whatever. And games are on par with storytelling of like movies, books, everything.
I think we're
for
still
the most
a lot
part.
to work.
No,
there.
there's
but
so
there
much.
are,
But
there are
I mean,
definitely those golden standard examples that are coming up now that are going to set the way for a lot of great games
I think
going forward.
as we've gotten our Metal Gears and Last of Us and that kind of stuff, more people are aspiring to that kind of storytelling in video games.
Yeah.
So here's this like kind of crazy semi-conspiracy theory, is that the filmmakers, the studios take this on and intentionally make it do poorly to discourage people from playing those games. Because like people who have not played those games, they're like, oh, well, I'll go see the movie. Well, that's a shitty ass movie. The game must be shit too. Again, crazy probably not the case because
Yeah.
why would they not want their film to make money?
Yeah.
Right.
But there's
they're-
that, and also the stigma, I think, from Hollywood and from a lot of people are like, well, games don't really have a lot to offer, so we'll just kind of do our own thing with it, and then it ends up being really shitty.
Yeah, I think that what lends the most credence to that would be that there is a huge separation between the people who make the games versus the people who make
Also
the
that.
movies.
That's
This
true.
is very
yes.
true.
Where, like, if you look at, we talked about this in the podcast, I think a few months ago, about Neil Druckmann talking about his experience working on the Uncharted movie, where he basically said, I don't really know what's happening with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't like the direction that movie is headed.
No, neither do I.
It's
Yeah,
real
it
dumb.
shouldn't happen.
I think for me, my simple kind of reason why video game movies never hold up is I don't want to see an Uncharted movie because I played the game. And once you take, like, every adaptation, right? Like, you look at books to movie, you're adding something to it. You're adding a visual, you're adding sound. Comic books, same kind of thing. You're adding motion to the visuals you have there. But it's the only adaptation you're taking something away. You're taking away interaction. So it takes away the thing that makes that special and important. Whereas, like, characters can still translate from a book to a movie, or there have been very famous examples of adaptations working in that direction.
Sure.
But it doesn't work the same way. Also, a lot of these games that get adapted are games from, like, the 90s and stuff, which don't have strong characters usually.
Yeah.
So there's...
I guess my only counter to that is, and this is, again, it's just something that's fairly modern.
Yeah.
Kind of with the start of Metal Gear, I'd say, is games have gotten more cinematic.
Yes.
So in theory...
Now they have.
Now, yes, yeah. So in theory, it should be easy to adapt those, but I think that there's still that whole... Oh, we're gonna kind of do our own thing. When it's like, the groundwork is all there. It's all there.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything.
Yep.
Why change anything? I don't know.
No, totally. I wish that what would happen when they make these movies is they'd kind of say, like, take Hitman as example, right?
Oh, God.
I think Hitman would lend itself very well to a really cool movie.
It would.
If it's like, hey, he's in this mansion, he's got to figure out a way to blend in and, like, get the guy. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's that scenario. It's kind of like, hey, let's play a few rounds of Hitman and, like, kind of feel like what inspirations we're getting, like what kind of things we did when we were playing that game, and put that into the movie. It's kind of like a best of kind of thing with better character development, better, like, set pieces, things like that, because it's more controlled. But that's never really what happens.
Yeah.
It's always, like, convoluted, or, like, the Hitman movies were nothing like the game.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
And that's the other thing, too, is so many times the movies are, like you said, nothing like the game. In Hitman, for example, the whole thing is being stealthy, to putting on a disguise to sneak in or whatever. None of that. It's just him running in there shooting people.
And he's in the same outfit the entire game, which is totally unlike the game.
Or like in the Prince of Persia movie, like the whole thing about Prince of Persia that makes that fucking cool is not only just the platforming, but it's those powers that you have of being able to control time and rewind and fast forward and slow down time. And they don't introduce that until the very end, when it's just a fucking MacGuffin where he's like, oh, the love interest died. I'll rewind time, I guess, right now. Which is stupid.
Only one moment where it really matters.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, dude, that's like a core thing throughout that entire game. You know what I mean?
But it also wouldn't make a very good movie where it's like, oh no, he died. All right, rewind it again. And it's just like, oh my god, this is the 5th time this is happening in a half hour. Like,
right.
There's no stakes.
But it's like you could find a way to, build that up eventually or something, Yeah.
I think there's a few obstacles that kind of keep them from being good. I think we're slowly starting to conquer those one by one. But I think one of the biggest ones is we have, for each of these games, like take Uncharted for example, we have on average 8 to 10 hours over 5 games to get the story, know these characters, and fall in love with this world. Whereas in a movie, they have 90 to 120 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that right there is a huge obstacle. How do I take this huge epic tale that I'm playing through?
Are you suggesting like making it more of a TV show around a video game instead?
I think those are more successful.
I think they would lend themselves better to that kind of format, a longer format.
Like a Mass Effect movie, I don't think would ever work. But a Mass Effect TV show with multiple seasons, I'm on board with that. That sounds great, actually.
Now, a Mass Effect side story about characters no one gives a shit about?
Exactly.
No. Give it a lead story. I mean,
no,
like
I
comparing
would
like
want to see
like the MCU versus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No one gives a shit about
I
Agents
see
of
what
S.H.I.E.L.D.
you're saying. Yeah. Like, I honestly, actually, I would disagree there because, like, if they were to make a Mass Effect, I would want to see another Spectre and like some sort of political,
Spectre,
conspiracies,
yes,
like,
but do I want an entire series about like a grunt that's like sitting behind a desk? No.
Or another thing that
I
would
see
be
what
kind
you
of
mean.
interesting going in that vein is if they were to tell potentially even Saren's story of prior to him being indoctrinated.
Because he was a Spectre, wasn't he?
Yeah. Which would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like I'd be
absolutely,
open to that or whatever.
So do you think they're picking the wrong games as well? Like, if you look at the video game movies,
sometimes yes.
Well, it gets to the point where another obstacle that they have is game stories, and as you kind of mentioned, they're picking stuff from the 90s that didn't have good stories, like Prince of Persia and Super Mario Brothers, which has the weakest story. It's
any video game. Because
yeah.
the Nintendo games should never be turned into movies. Because it's not about story, it's about the gameplay. You cannot translate that into a show.
Or Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hypothetically, if you were to make a movie based on those properties, again, I don't think that they should. The only ones that I think could lend themselves to potentially becoming a movie or TV show would be like maybe Zelda, but Link would have to talk.
So I
which
actually
is a no-no.
I actually had a good idea for how he wouldn't talk.
But
I've thought about that.
Metroid and probably like Star Fox.
Metroid, I think, actually would make.
But Metroid, I think, would be the best.
So yeah, actually, I'll say this: I have thought about Metroid being a movie before, and it'd be like, if you take, you guys Metroid played. I know you played Metroid Prime. Did you play Metroid Prime?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it'd be really cool if like the opening of Metroid Prime movie would be them on that space station where he fights that, or where Samus fights that. The little.
Samus is a girl, by the way.
I know. I did say he, and that's why I went back to Samus. Wow. I know, right?
You wouldn't classify her as a she. You said he. Oh wait, no. I'm going to give it a name instead. I will not call it a she.
I'm trying to be non-gender conformist right now. So, and then like that ship crashes and then lands on another planet or something like that, and now Samus's equipment doesn't work and she has to like survive on that planet, and it's like more like a survival story. That'd be kind of a really cool movie to kind of see play out. But Zelda, I think to Chad's point of like finding Breath of the Wild boring because it's just like exploring and wandering around. I don't want to see that as a TV show.
No.
And Link couldn't. It would kill it so much that if he talked, that they shouldn't do that. That they'd have to have something where like he's a Wall-E like character who kind of speaks through like grunts and stuff, and Navi speaks for him or something like that. Like that sounds revoltingly terrible.
That is too much fan service, which is also they're like, oh, get it? Because that's the sound he makes when he swings his sword. Oh, get it? That's when Navi talks, just like in the games. And I think that's a huge fuck up that all of these movies are doing. Like they're putting in too many things like wink, wink, nod, nod. Remember, this came from a video game.
Yeah,
like I think that would be way too much.
Then you end up with the Zelda TV show, which did exist, where you have stupid lines like, "Well, excuse me, princess." Terrible things like that. So I don't think you can.
To be honest, that was a cartoon from way long ago.
Yeah, it was awful. Not that I've seen everything of it,
but
any of it really.
I think you could make a Zelda movie as a because those stories are so epic and huge and everything. But again, I would say Link would have to talk. He'd have to have some kind of dialogue. I'm also a huge, not a fan of silent protagonists, period.
Okay,
I don't care what game it is. If it's a silent protagonist, I hate it.
Okay, I will say this actually. Technically speaking, Link is not silent.
Okay,
the idea is you're supposed. No. If you really know, I played almost every Zelda game. It's not that he's not talking. He is talking to these people, but it's supposed to be that you are, as the player, talking.
I hate that. Nope.
And they always respond to something that he has said.
But yes, but he should be saying that. The argument of like, well, you're a silent protagonist because we want you to be the character.
Yeah,
that's a cop-out.
Yep.
No,
absolutely.
And I mean that for Fallout, for Elder Scrolls, for
I guess it doesn't bother me in Zelda because it's always been that way. But in a Fallout, that wouldn't work. Or like in Dead Space was kind of weird. That's why in Dead Space 2 they gave him a voice and all that.
Like Dead Space didn't work. Like it's so many games. I'm like, no silent protagonists, none, because they have no stakes.
And I'm also probably giving Zelda that because I'm just too big of a fan of that franchise.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
and you also, we talked about this when you were like, oh, the reason I don't find Zelda's boring because I make up all these stories in my head about what's going on, and there are goblins chasing me, and it's like, Oh, so you're probably just making up the dialogue that he's saying and
I
saying
don't
whatever the fuck he
make
wants.
up dialogue. I'm not like, if he goes with this person, says, well, hello there.
No, you talk to your Switch as if you were Link while you're playing the game.
Hi, Impa. I'm here to save Princess Zelda right now.
To get us
Hold on,
somewhat,
there's no microphone on the Switch, right? Shut up!
I'm having fun.
to get us somewhat back on track.
Yeah.
I think there's another thing too where they take a game, for example, Silent Hill. They made a Silent Hill movie that's decent at best. It's one of the better examples of a video game adaptation of a movie. But it's like they take this game and they're like, it's a horror game, so we're gonna make a horror movie. And it's like, that's not what that game's about. Yes, it's scary, but the allure of that is these monsters are representative of some psychological or emotional like disorder.
But that's a really good point,
You know
too,
what I
is
mean?
that games can get away with like a cheekiness that would not work in a movie. And Metal Gear Solid's a great example of this.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Those stories are really in-depth and very political, but also weird and bizarre.
Weird
and
as fuck.
Yeah, weird
Yeah.
as fuck. To a degree where like any audience who's not familiar with the franchise would go and be like, what am I watching? Like,
Yeah,
what is this?
Yeah, and now that they're pretty much going ahead with it, I'm like,
Are they making a Metal Gear Solid
yes,
movie?
100%.
Oh, I did not know
Kojima
this.
did a panel at the C3 with the director.
He's involved.
Yes,
Kojima's involved.
he is involved. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know to what degree.
That makes me more comfortable about any video game movie, knowing that the actual creator of the video game
Yes.
is involved. And Kojima himself has said he was always wanted to make movies.
Yes.
So that might be our best chance.
It
But
might
it's-
be.
That
I think-
franchise is the wrong choice, though.
Yeah. See, it's that the thing that I'm worried about is they will have to dilute a lot of things down.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I
Starring
don't know
Kiefer Sutherland.
how. I don't know how they do that.
I'll be right back.
But the other thing that has me kind of hopeful for that is the director has been very open. The writer-director.
Yeah.
Who's the same writer-director of... Oh, I can't remember his name. Is it Neil Marshall, I want to say?
I'm going to
think
look it up right now.
Who is... He did Kong Skull Island, which was alright. But there's one movie that he did where I was like, okay, like that... I think it's Neil Marshall is his name. Anyway, but he was talking about how, remaining faithful to the source material, like, and embracing some of that craziness. But again, like I said, it's like, what do you take away from that? I guess Metal Gear Solid 1 doesn't get crazy outlandish. I get that really kind of starts in 2 with all of the stuff with the Patriots and all that, where it gets really deep in that rabbit hole of the conspiracy theory of all, the politicians and stuff.
I feel like, though, even in Metal Gear Solid 1, like, the stuff that makes that game stand out and give it, like, the character that it has is... I'm Psycho Mantis. I'm reading your game card.
Yeah.
You love playing this video game.
Switch the controller ports so that I can't read your mind.
Or the guy...
Everyone in the
fucking-
audience, switch seats with the person next to you.
The guy shitting himself in the bathroom stall.
Yes.
And, that's the kind of stuff that really, like, you fall in love with it in that game, and that's part of what makes you love Metal Gear Solid. But in a movie is, like, with the general public...
Yeah, I think if the only way to make that game work as a movie is to dilute it down and make it more about the Foxhound group,
right?
Probably.
Yeah.
So focus more on Solid Snake, Liquid, Ocelot, Sniper Wolf, Vulcan Raven, Psycho Mantis, Decoy Octopus, and like Meryl probably.
Decoy Octopus. Oh man.
But that's the one that I'm most hopeful for. But man, it's a huge risk. It's another one too that, like you were saying, I was like, I would rather it be like a series or a mini series or something like that, because you could fit all that stuff in.
Speaking of series, Castlevania just came out on Netflix yesterday.
That's
I've heard
right.
it's really good.
And it's getting really great reviews, and it even just got renewed for season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see, like, Netflix start picking up a lot more video game stuff.
Yeah.
What would be a franchise you want to see turned into a movie or show?
Well, they already tried Max Payne, but actually do Max Payne and not the weird demon shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
that's
Mark
right, with
Wahlberg and Mila
Ugh.
Kunis, it was a piece of garbage. It was so bad. It was like trying to be Sin City, and there was a supernatural element.
I remember
like,
playing Max Payne after knowing about the movie, I never saw the movie, and going, wait, when are the demons and stuff gonna get involved? It was such a poor representation of that franchise.
But that's again another game series
that would lend itself very well.
Yeah, and it would lend itself well to a movie and or a TV series as well. It would be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else.
I always thought Mirror's Edge would make a really good movie.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
It'd make it cool, Jason Bourne style.
Exactly.
Yeah, it might even work better as a movie.
I think so. Yeah.
Really. I mean,
it would lend itself well because there's really cool like set pieces you could do. Has a really interesting art style. Has a cool world. Like all the story elements are there to make something cool, but it doesn't lend itself well to a video game.
Yeah.
So that would make it a good movie, I think.
Definitely. Trying to think if there are any other like again, with it being so cinematic, I'm like, oh, Metal Gear is an obvious choice, but also not because of all the story stuff. I mean, Uncharted and Last of Us, again, because those games are so cinematic. That it's like if you're just doing, I mean, you could splice that game together of all the cutscenes and just make a movie that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually feel like the more cinematic a game is, the less I want that to be a movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
I already
that
have my version of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see that.
Especially with Last of Us, where like I feel like if I had saw, and this isn't to discredit the story in any way, shape, or form, but I think if I saw that as a movie, I would have been like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I was involved in that, and
I think that's another hurdle that
Yeah.
we have to get over, is that even the best video game stories
aren't the best stories necessarily.
Yeah, like compared to some like the best movie stories and books and things like that, they have a lot of maturity to gain before they become something that like is worth investing a couple hours into.
Yeah, I remember when I was showing my dad The Last of Us, and I'm like, no, it's really good. He goes, it looks like a post-apocalyptic zombie thing to me. Like, no thanks, I'm okay. Like, it wouldn't sell like something like that because it's so much like everything else that's already kind of out there, but it's not to us because we interacted with it.
Yeah.
Plus, we already have Uncharted the movie. It's called Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
But
exactly what
Uncharted
it is.
takes place today. Indiana Jones takes place in old times.
It's true.
They have
It's
cell
true.
phones in
Different.
Uncharted 4.
God.
That would make a whole new movie.
Just throw Indiana Jones as a cell phone. Now all of a sudden my vision of that is different.
Then you got Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oh yeah, and they're making a fifth one.
They're making a fifth one, so maybe that'll take place in more
Unless
modern
Harrison
time.
Ford keeps
Maybe?
breaking himself.
Yeah. Oh god.
Fucking who lets him fly a plane?
Another thing that I think about often as well is, are there any movies that you think the inverse of like, wow, that would actually make a really interesting video game, or if they were to make a video game, they could really do some interesting stuff with that?
Oh man, I feel like I've had that thought. Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
trying to
about
think
that
what
all
that
the
would
right
be.
now.
One that I think would be cool if it was done well is, I think John Wick would be such a cool
Oh, yeah.
like universe to have a video game set in.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah.
that would be so cool. That'd be so much fun.
That would be a really cool, like, Hitman style game, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, here's your scenario, you have to figure out a way to do it, but you have to do it in like the most badass way possible. Like, it's kind of the opposite of Hitman in that sense, where you're not sneaking around, you're just like going nuts.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But you have to like set up your mission.
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be a good one.
you know what I think would make a really cool movie or a really cool game? There's this movie, and I think it had The Rock in it, and it was a couple decades ago. It's called Doom.
Oh yeah.
And I think like
would,
it didn't
yeah.
work that well as a movie. It was not a good movie, but that would make a fucking kick-ass game.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think this counts because it's technically not. It was not a movie first. It was a comic first. But I think Judge Dredd would make a really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Like the new
Yeah.
one with Carl Urban. That would make a really cool.
Yeah.
Video game, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and that's another thing too. Is like sometimes I read like comic books or movie, or books in general or whatever. And I'm like, this would make a very interesting video game. Like something that it's something that a video game idea that I would want. And Shadow of War is kind of doing this, but I was like, I would love to play like Lord of the Rings. Right, and it's like, for example, take like the Battle of Helm's Deep, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you have to set up, like decide where people are going to set up to defend this thing or whatever. After you do that, the battle begins, and you jump in there
like
as
a Star Wars
you know,
Battlefront?
Aragorn,
Star Wars
or
Battlefront
Aragorn,
for
or kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And
They
it's like you
actually had this.
jump in there, you play out the battle, but let's say you fail the battle. Let's say you lose the Battle of Helm's Deep, but continue that story of like, okay, here's what happened if the Battle of Helm's Deep did not go the way that it was, or something. And
that's interesting, actually. Is like these stories are really familiar with if there were consequences to the other that happening. That is interesting.
Which is something that video games could do. Is like, in Fellowship of the Ring, they were, you go to hide from the ring wraith. Surprise, he found you, murders Frodo, takes the ring. What do you do then? Or something.
Like Aragorn now is like having to chase after.
Yeah, or something.
Interesting, yeah.
I think that's something that video games could do.
I think what's required for that, I think, is the technology that Ken Levine is working on.
Oh, like
where it's like block narrative or something like that, where like there's this chunk of game you're going to play, and based on how that plays out, the next chunk of game is going to be different.
Yes.
So they would kind of have to be something like that, because otherwise, like games nowadays, like if you were Frodo and you got found with the Ring Wraith, game over screen, start over again, keep going.
Yeah.
So there'd have to be some like change in how stories get told in games, but it's coming. Like, and that's one thing that's going to make it harder for these movies to be good video game or movie adaptations of video games. Is that when the stories start getting so interactive and so many different possibilities can start popping up? How do you take the best of version of
like
that?
How do you take a Heavy Rain when there's like 25 different possible scenarios where that could end up as like interesting. We've got 2 subscriber interrogatives this week. Number 1, what is in your backlog, and what's your general strategy for getting through it? Mine right now mine basically is based on what I saw at E3 and what I have to prep to get ready for all that shit.
Okay.
So I have Metro Last Light, Metro 2033.
So good.
It did until this week include Wolfenstein and Tomb Raider. What else is in there? Shit, now I have to turn on my PS4. You guys tell me about yours.
Yeah, Metal Gear, I think, is on there for me now that we've kind of talked about that earlier. So Metal Gear, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's also, just because I'm a big Nintendo fan, and there were so many games that I didn't get a chance to play because I didn't really have a lot of video games growing up. So I really want to go back and play, like, Mario Galaxy, and I really want to go back and play, like, some of the Metroid Prime games I didn't get to play, things like that. So if there's a lot of like, Nintendo games I want to go back on. I actually have a list actually on my phone of, like, ridiculous amounts of games I want to go back and play. But you go first, I'll find the list.
So one of mine is Metro Last Light, as you said. Like, I started it, but I never finished it.
Yeah,
but I played through 2033.
It's incredible. It's still so good.
Yeah, the 2033 is amazing, and the little bit that I played of Last Light is just like, woo!
Yeah.
It's kind of that Tomb Raider situation where it's like it takes everything from that first one, and it's just more of that thing and adding more stuff to it, which is really cool. I'm trying to remember what else is... I have like literally like a stack of games that Dishonored 1 I need to finish up, and Dishonored 2, and start Dishonored 2. I need to finish Prey. I'm like right at the end of Prey. I need to finish that. I have the Batman Telltale series or whatever, and I've been so curious. I'm like, I wonder. I've been curious about it. So there's that. I know I have a lot more.
I have 2 backlogs. I have, like, everything that I want to play. And I have that in a list, and it's hundreds of games. It's like Super Metroid and Earthbound and all these, like, a backlog that includes so much shit. And then I have a folder on my PS4 of, like, this is my realistic backlog of things that I could actually complete. And it's kind of short. I have Life is Strange.
Oh, it's good.
Firewatch. Overwatch. Metro, Far Cry 4, and Lords of the Fallen.
I started playing Lords of the Fallen.
It's
it's trying very, very hard to beat Dark Souls.
I've heard, I heard it has some good gameplay mechanics, but
it does. It played well enough, but it did not play as well as Dark Souls. It's not that it's not good. It plays great. But it's just, it wasn't Dark Souls.
I'd say it's fine. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it.
I beat the first level.
But I didn't, I got to probably like the 3rd or 4th boss, and I was like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm alright.
And I'm okay with it. I learned, I guess I learned like 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, you don't have to beat every game you start.
Yeah.
You can get a little ways into a game. It's like, I think I got everything. Like, Shadow of Mordor. I got a lot out of that game from the 4 or 5 hours I spent with it. I was like, cool. I see where the rest of this game is headed. Like it a lot, but I don't need to play the whole thing.
Yeah, there's only a handful of games I have two in my backlog right now off the top of my head that I'm like, I'm gonna go back and play these games all the way through, and I will do it. I mean, Horizons are done, but that aside for a second. Metro Last Light, I loved the first one so much. It was literally I don't want to play the next one immediately right now because I just love the first one and I don't want to put it all together so quickly.
Yeah.
I want to kind of space it out. Man, I can't wait for you to play Metro, honestly, Chad. It's really, really good.
It's
I'm
great.
excited.
It's very good. And the other one is Dishonored, too. Because, again, the first Dishonored was so good. I loved the first Dishonored. And just like Metro Last Light, I didn't want to play the second one back-to-back with it. I wanted to space them out to kind of appreciate each one distinctly a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
I kind of have the opposite thing. Like, for me, it's like, once I finish Dishonored, I'm starting Dishonored 2 right away. I kind of like that.
I started Dishonored 2 right away.
Okay.
Yeah, I did start it right away, yeah.
I guess it works better in the favor of that because Dishonored 2 takes place, like, what is it, like 10
Yeah, it's 10 years later,
later.
Well, like, the little girl in the first one, Emily, is now a playable character who's a total badass.
Yeah.
Like,
so there's, like, a time gap between there.
Yeah.
But I guess it would work in, if there aren't a lot of video game sequels that I can think of that take place like the first one ends and the second one picks up right where that one left off.
Yeah,
but if there was
Jack 1 and Jack 2, I think that was like a direct. I'm serious.
Okay.
That's like the only one I can think of my head right now.
Those are games I've wanted to play.
That's actually my backlog too. Yeah, I want to play those.
There's a pre-order thing for Uncharted Lost Legacy. If you pre-order it, you get the remaster of Jack 3 on PS4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to pre-order then.
Yeah, I was like, I got a free game with a fucking pre-order. I'll pre-order
absolutely.
it.
I was going to get Lost Legacy anyway.
Yeah, that's
and
what
I do want to play
like.
the Jack games, so I'm on board for that. That's great.
And I've wanted to play those too, just because.
Is it just 3?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I think they're selling them separately.
1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I think they are selling them separately.
Interesting.
But I haven't looked too much into it.
I thought maybe...
Should you have a PlayStation up right now? Can we check this?
I do, yeah.
I was like, maybe they're
I pre-ordered
offering
this,
3...
so I guess I should have access to this
maybe
game.
just because...
it's not... the remaster's not out yet for Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I thought maybe it was like only 3 is on PS4, maybe, and that's why they're offering it.
Yeah.
So what's your strategy of getting through these games?
I don't have a strategy, really.
You don't?
It's just kind of like, I want to play a game right now. I wanted to play this. Let's give it a shot right now. I don't have... Although, your idea of, like, playing Wolfenstein before the new one comes out, like, I'm going to do that for sure, but that's just going to be a part of my... Oh, I guess I should play that right now, because I need to play that right now.
That's part of my strategy, quote unquote, I guess, is, like, I'll buy a game... sometimes put it off for a long time if like other stuff comes out around the same time, and then I'll hear about the sequel and I'm like, that looks fucking cool. Hey, I have the first game. I'm gonna play that. That's one thing. Another thing that I do is and this is where sometimes having a backlog benefits me, or like going back and replaying some games too.
Yeah.
Is once we hit that dry spell that we're in, like right now, like which is usually in the summer, like June, July, August.
Yep.
Usually, it's like, okay, I have this chunk of time. There are no new games coming out that I want right now. I'm going back and playing something old.
What I get stuck in the loop of though is that okay, I have nothing to play at the moment, right? Like quote unquote nothing to play at the moment right now. I have tons of things I could be playing, but I'm like. Let's give Hitman another shot, because that's something I can play over and over and over again and still enjoy that. So I just kind of find myself going back to those same games sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what hurts the backlog for me.
My strategy has always been to... I have a growing number of games that I have to get back to, so I always like, okay, what can I beat really quickly? Let me jump into a Telltale series, or let me do a Life is Strange, or something like that.
Yeah.
So that I can get that number down, but then... Over time, I'm then just left with a giant pile of huge-ass games that I'm never going to start because it's like, that's going to take way too long to get through, and I'll miss so much other shit. So I don't know if that's the most effective way or whether I'm going to reconsider that, but that's what I generally
If that's your strategy, Metro, I don't think was that long.
No, I would say it's probably like right around 20 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less.
Yeah. It's a good amount. More. It's definitely longer than our first-person shooter campaign.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't consider it a first-person shooter. It has that perspective, but it's really more of a survival game.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You shoot things, and you're in first person, but it's not a first person.
Fallout 4 is in a first-person perspective, but I wouldn't call it a first-person shooter.
Yeah. It's super good.
Yeah.
Cool. For the record, yes, you do get the Precursor Legacy.
That's the first one.
Is
Oh,
it?
that's the first
That's the
one.
first one, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's Precursor
was-
Legacy, then Jack 2, then Jack 3.
Okay, I was thinking it was the third one. Never
Gotcha.
mind.
No.
You get Jack 1.
Is that true? Yeah. Well, actually, no, wait a second. I think Jack and Daxter. Yeah, because it was just Jack and Daxter, and then it was just Jack. They just got rid of Daxter
Oh, Jack
from the name.
2.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then it's just Jack
He got
3.
shafted until he got his PSP spinoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually liked the Daxter game. That was fun.
Yeah.
I never played it.
I did play that. That was good. I actually liked the PSP. It was a good system.
Yeah, I had a lot of shit for it. I just never played that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
I played the shit out of that.
Daxter?
No, the PSP when it came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I even
And-
got the PSP Go.
Almost.
Oh,
got,
really?
Yep.
I didn't know
I had a
anyone who had a
PSP
PSP
Go.
Go. Vita's great. It's
Um,
really good.
And I mean, part of the reason that I want it is just to have that remote play.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also some games, excuse me, that are on it that I'm like, oh, like I would love to play the Gold Abyss.
Yep.
Golden Abyss, yeah.
Uncharted Golden Abyss.
Killzone Mercenary.
Stuff like
Surprisingly
It's also
great.
yeah.
It is.
It's also just like you can play fucking everything. You can play all those PS1 classics on it.
Yeah.
You can play so much good stuff on that machine that you can't for some reason play on your PS4.
that. Yeah.
Luminous is
Oh my
perfect.
god, yeah.
Oh, so you know
What-
Luminous. Okay.
Yeah, I played it on PSP. I
Yeah.
got the first one on
Okay,
PSP,
cool.
and man, that
So the
so
Vita version
addicting.
though has the back touch, so you get bonus by like tapping to the beat on the back. And I swear to
that's
God,
cool.
I've never played a game before and been. I played games and been like, oh man, time passed. I've never played a game before and been like, oh my god, the entire day is gone, and I was just playing
Yeah.
a puzzle game. Like literally, like the sun went down, and I'm like, fuck, like what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
It's so engrossing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And-
I think it's a perfect game. It's like up
It's-
there among my favorite.
yeah.
Like it's up there in
It's
my
pretty
top
great.
5 probably. It's so good.
Another thing that I find hard with backlogs too is when I have backlogs for another system that's not the current generation.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I
It's
just had to say
such-
goodbye to all
it's
my
so
PS3
hard.
shit.
Like, there's so many things on PS3. Like, I desperately have been wanting to play Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, but that is such a good one.
Yeah, see, and that's why, like, I'm like, I need to go back and play that.
Yeah.
And there are some other ones too that are on PS3 that I'm like, I need to go back and I need to play that. And it's sitting right there next to my PS4, and it's like hooked up and everything.
Well, see, this is an obstacle
But-
for me. Is I really want to go back and play some of these like old Nintendo games, or I even really want to go back and play like PS2 games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have to buy a PS2.
Right.
That's a big hurdle to then say like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this old game by
Yeah.
buying a new. And it's
Well-
not like, and if you wanted to buy like an SNES as an example, it's like $90 to buy like a real SNES, not
Right.
the mini one that's
Yeah.
coming out. But it's
Um,
kind of a big barrier to entry.
Well, and it's even hard too sometimes with like, obviously we have HD TVs now, and they don't have composite
Yeah.
Right.
insert ever. So then it's like you gotta find a special adapter to get it plugged in there, and then you're playing a
You know, it's like trash.
Yeah, exactly. You're playing a 4:3 ratio game on a 16:9 screen, and the two big black boxes on the right and left hand side.
Yep.
That's where like virtual console things that are super important, and I think like Xbox is kind of taking that with their backwards compatibility.
Yes.
PlayStation needs to do something more.
Definitely.
For this.
Definitely. And they've started with having some of those PS1 and PS2 classics on PS4 now, but they need more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and well, no, I guess they have had where those have also been on sale for like you could get Final Fantasy VII for 99 cents. And
Yeah.
like, why the fuck would I?
I have
do
so many. Like I have the entire Final Fantasy series. I have all of the Resident Evils and things like that. The PS1 classics.
Yeah.
Which you can play on your PS3 or PSP or PS Vita, but for some reason not on PS4.
that? Yeah. And
So one day when that functionality unlocks, I'll have this whole library.
yeah, yeah. And
I have all the Mega Mans.
There's, I mean,
I've never
honestly,
even beat a Mega Man.
every publisher needs to do that,
Yeah.
hands down. Like throughout, and I know that there's probably a difficulty in terms of like bringing it from Xbox software to Xbox One, from PS1 to PS4, from NES to Switch, that kind of thing. But that also boils down to that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, you can
You're the ones who change
Yeah.
the architecture every generation.
exactly, and it's obvious it can be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have Max Payne 1 on PS4, Dark Cloud,
Or even
Final
just
Fantasy.
Microsoft opening up backwards compatibility for Xbox and Xbox 360. They have to do some work to get those games on there, but it is
Yeah.
possible to emulate these experiences. It's possible.
Yeah, so don't feed me any bullshit about it's hard. No, that's your problem.
And also,
Yep.
too, it's people will spend money on that.
Yeah,
They just will.
Yep.
I mean, they're not making Jack, and Daxter on the PlayStation 4 because no one's going to buy it.
Exactly.
People are going to buy this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Virtual Console, go back to Nintendo again, is a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
People buy Mario over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
But also, to counter that, you shouldn't do the Nintendo thing where it's you have to buy that game again, right?
Oh, yeah.
Able to
That's
buy
not me saying they have the best solution. That's just me saying people will pay for it.
And I'm not saying that they're the only ones who have done it, too. Like, on my PS3, I bought Max Payne 1. This was like years ago or whatever, because I'd never played Max Payne 1. I've only ever played 3, and 3 has a lot of allusions to 1, especially.
I've only played 1.
I wish 2 was on there. Max Payne 3 is phenomenal. Mm-hmm.
I've heard it's fantastic.
Absolutely amazing. Underrated.
Were they all by Rockstar or just 3?
Just 3.
Well, who made the first 2? Ready? Okay.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, why can't I also have that on my PS4?
Yeah.
I have to buy it again. And granted, it's cheap. I mean, it's like $5.
I'll say this is definitely an issue of the time as well, because the architectures for the current systems are basically going to be the architectures going forward from here on out, unless there's some sort of major change.
But they're more and more based on PC architecture, and you can get an emulator that runs a PlayStation 1 game on a PC real easy.
Yeah.
So it's not always perfect though. So there's Open Emu, I think is what's called, Open Emu for the Mac, and you can get N64 games in there. Mm-hmm. But man, I got Mario 64. I was so excited. I'm like, I'll play Mario 64 on this, and it doesn't quite work well because Mario can't run; he can only walk. So trying to make the jumps when he can only walk is impossible. So the game was completely unplayable.
Yeah, unplayable. Yeah, wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's just because the way the joystick is told to move on an N64 is not the same way the joystick is told to move on the Pro Controller that I had plugged into it.
Yeah,
so it's not compatible in those ways.
Yeah. Huh.
So
interesting.
How weird.
Last interrogative. What was the first game you remember playing? First video game you remember playing?
I've told the story on here before.
Have you?
I'm pretty sure, but my first video game I remember playing was Ocarina of Time, and I thought the game ended fighting Goma on the Deku Tree.
Yes.
And then you just kind of, and then after, because I didn't know what to do after that.
Yeah.
So kind of that's the end of the game. Now I'm just in this giant field that I can wander in. Great. Yeah.
Mine's actually the original Super Mario Brothers on NES.
Yeah.
My dad bought it it was his referee partner at the time. He got it from him.
Yeah.
And we played the first Super Mario Brothers on there. And then it eventually broke, and then the SNES came out very at that exact same time. So we were they can get a SNES.
A lot of my earliest ones were my family played the Nintendo NES a lot, and my earliest memory was 4-player. My brother and my parents playing Gauntlet 2.
Oh my god!
And it was it's the endless maze.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was absolutely awful at it because I only really remember it in little snapshots. I don't actually remember in full blown memories, but I'm sure it was awful. And the whole time they were like, "Keep up! What are you doing?"
Yeah,
getting killed left and right and things like that. But that's the first thing I remember playing is Gauntlet 2 with my family on our NES.
I think two of my this is even first game I played. There's two cool memories I have, which being a kid and. Because I was thinking to myself, I didn't really have a lot of parental involvement in the video games. They didn't really they weren't there for me. But I do have two examples where my parents were there with me.
Yeah.
One was my dad and I went to Best Buy when we each got our own Game Boy Color, and he got Oracle of Seasons, I got Oracle of Ages, the Zelda version. So that was a really cool moment. And then I remember a little while later when the Game Boy Advance was out, I met my stepmom and she wanted to do something nice for me. She went to Best Buy and she's like, you can get one of these two games. You can either get Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, or this Barbie dress-up game. And I'm like, I'm gonna go with Zelda: Link to the Past. She goes, okay, Barbie, and she put Zelda back on the shelf and started walking up to the cashier with Zelda, and I was like, what are you no? You see where I get my sense of humor from now.
That's funny. Yeah. That's another interesting thing too with how popular and mainstream games have gotten recently too. Is I never played video games with my dad, hardly at all. I mean, I did probably here and there, but once we got into PS1 and N64, nope, he was out.
Yeah, my parents stopped at the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and it was
it was really... they played Donkey Kong Country. Oh,
yeah,
and then
once
N64
things got to
that.
joysticks freaked them out.
Yeah.
But it's now you hear so much about people being like, oh, when I have a kid, their first video game is going to be X.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Which is so interesting just to see how the culture's evolved that way.
Absolutely.
That now
Well, like, I'm gonna, like, not that I'm thinking about kids in my life in any way, shape, or form right now, but, like, I'm gonna sit down and play, a Mario game or a Zelda game, or, like, when he gets older, show him Uncharted and, like, Last of Us, as just like I would show him Star Wars.
Exactly, yeah.
Did you just assume your hypothetical future kid's child's gender?
I said I wasn't, I'm sorry, I was being non-conformist, and I fell through on that.
Wow.
You did.
Also, if you'd like to bear
He or
Holden's
she,
children,
or whatever they want.
please email the podcast.
SplitScreenGamingPodcast@gmail.com.
If you'd like to be a surrogate. But yeah, that's funny. Well, and it's just like being able to watch them experiencing like Last of Us or Metal Gear or something for the first time.
Yep.
My dad did watch me. Metal Gear Solid 4. I played like the last 75% of that game like in one sitting. And my dad watched almost all of it as I played it.
Yeah.
He was like, that was a really cool movie-like thing. I was like, yeah.
But
he would never do it himself because he's terrified of joysticks and how games control now. And
my parents get really motion sick watching games, though. So, like, they wouldn't even be able to watch The Last of Us. Like, I think my dad would like to see that story play out.
Yeah.
But he could not handle the motion sickness. I tried to show him Uncharted 4 and I went to go visit him. Like, I brought my PS4. I'm like, you gotta see this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's a huge Indiana Jones fan. I'm like, dude, you're gonna fucking love this. You're gonna shit your pants when you see this. And he's like, I can't look at the screen. He couldn't look at it at all.
Yeah.
Because it just made him sick.
Speaking of motion sickness, you know what? My entire family did go apeshit over Rush of Blood VR.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't care for that.
I never touched it or anything.
We were at Disney, and I brought my VR headset so everyone could try it. And one of the time we couldn't hook it up to the TV for some reason, so no one could see what everyone was freaking
that's
out
hilarious.
about. So one of the time they just put on the headset, screamed like crazy, shooting shit. Ah! And of course all the nieces and nephews that don't know what's going on and shouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on? I want to play. They step in front of the camera. But yeah, they were all like, "Oh my god, that is so cool."
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode of Split Screen Gaming Podcast. Follow us on all the social medias. Send us your feedback. Send us some interrogatives. I had a baby stroke. Happy New Year. Josh, thanks again for joining us. You're officially the most visited guest on our podcast. Yeah! In 19 episodes, you've shown up twice.
Mm-hmm. I will show up more times.
That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Josh, what do you want to plug? Your life? Are you in a show? Do you have a website that you run? Do you?
He's running for president in 2012.
Bring you lunch.
I got no plugs.
No plugs.
Yeah,
that hair is all natural. No hair plugs.
Individual. I'm not plugged up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. You can actually see me on. I'm going to plug my show here.
Okay.
The Split Screen Gaming Podcast. If you want to catch me on there.
Oh, where can they find that?
I don't know.
Nice. Good job. Me too. Cool, guys. I love you all. You're not smelly.